Good afternoon. It is Friday. It's another moment ready for Girl. Listen, and we are doing a special edition because we have a guest. We're going to talk about pleasure. It's a human right. Let's get into it. Welcome to Girl. Listen, I am Gwendolyn, G.R. Houston Jack. And it's summertime. It's summertime. Hence, I'm doing a little something. I figured I've got a little black and white going on up here. Why not do black and white all over, right? Because gray is beautiful. Gray is beautiful. I want to welcome everybody who is tuning in. We are streaming live to Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Because, we enjoy having some fun here. We love having fun here. And for those who are watching live or even in the replay, feel free to pop in the comments where you're from. I absolutely love how my mother came in early and said, I'm going to be the first one to comment. Thank you, Ma, for showing up. Thank you, Ma. Appreciate it. We have our community here. Spencer's in the building from Atlanta. And, I'll go ahead and tell you now, Spencer, I have every plan to be in town next month. I'm not saying that we should do it, but it would be cool to do a show together while I'm in town. I think that's like the best thing that we could do together. We should see what happens, but would love to do something while we're in town. So let us get into it. We have a special guest coming today because we're going to talk about how pleasure is a human right. I was reading some articles, been doing a lot of reading, and it never fails that when summer comes along, it feels as if there is this over-policing of joy, particularly Black joy. And then there are just people who, I don't know if they're all just miserable, but they want to take the joy and the pleasure and the happiness from everybody else. Right? I'm trying to understand it. I really am. So I figured I should bring in someone who knows a great deal about pleasure and taking care of the self, because we, of course, have been talking about self-care and self-love and what that looks like and how to truly demonstrate it for yourself. Oh, well, Spencer, now, quick little side note, we can always make time for a show together. I know we can do it. We just need like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. We can pick a spot. I got the mobile Wi-Fi. We can make this happen. So I'm going to try to make this work. Like, I would like for us to make it work. I'm sure the community would love to have you share your knowledge about digital storage. And before we get into it again, hello, shout out to Gary. Hello. He's representing Louisiana, but he's technically in the DFW area. So we'll go ahead and give Gary his shout out. Yeah, see, people would love to hear from Spencer. And just in case you didn't know, Gary and Spencer, they are nemesis. They are friendly, but they do have a lot of things going on. So let me get into our topic, because I do want to talk about this, and our guest will be joining us to give us all of her knowledge. But I want to know what you think of when you hear the word pleasure. Put in the comments. I have an idea, but I could be wrong, about assumptions. But when you think about pleasure, what do you think about? Because as we're talking about this, we talked about the policing of joy. And I'm going to say it again, particularly Black joy. That's what I know. And it never fails that the summer seems to bring out, and it could be the heat, crime goes up in during the summer. People are agitated, they're not comfortable. But that could be something that we need to look at today. So I want to know, when you hear pleasure, what do you think about? As Gary and Spencer are doing their thing, the definition of pleasure, we'll talk about this again. It refers to an experience that feels good, that involves the enjoyment of something, right? Doesn't say exactly what it is. It just says something. Okay, so because they want to go there, Spencer says, "Is my mother still here? He needs to watch his mouth." Okay, we are an adult group. My mama's okay. Feel free to share what you want to share. Oh my goodness. Feel free to share what you want to share. That's fine. I don't think that's a concern here. Gary says, an enjoyment that may oftentimes be unexplained, but enjoyed. Ooh, okay. All right. I like that. Okay. Here's what I got as well, because we have to see what the dictionary says. We went to the dictionary to figure it out. But it says it refers to an experience that feels good, that involves enjoyment of something. It contrasts with pain or suffering, clearly, right? Which are forms of feeling bad. It is closely related to a value, desire, and action. Humans and other conscious animals find pleasure enjoyable, positive, or worthy of seeking. A great variety of activities may be experienced as pleasurable, like eating, having sex, listening to music, or playing games. Now, I already tell you, I live to eat is what I do. Gwendolyn lives to eat. It's a known fact. I will pick a place based on the reviews and what the menu is. I will travel for really good food. That brings me pleasure. It brings me immense joy, especially if there's a good wine involved, right? So that brings me great joy. And I know, because Spencer and Gary are both dear fans of Prince, surely listening to his music, reading some of his words, my goodness, watching him play the guitar, it not only brings me great joy, but it has moved me to tears. That's how happy I am, right? So when we think about pleasure, we are not talking today just about some of the basics that come to mind, since Spencer wants to make sure that the room was clear. But we are talking about the things that make you happy and bring you joy. That's the point here. So our guest today is going to be discussing that with me. And she has a good history, a good knowledge of self-care, self-love, and being able to find moments of pleasure, which is why, I figured if I'm going to bring somebody in, why not bring her in? So let us see. Let's see here. We're bringing on Josie Pickens. Wait a minute. We're having some technical difficulties. I got a black screen here. Let me see, Joe. If you can hear me. All right, let me see here.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't see you.
I know. I gave access. Let's
see. And here's the deal. You are a beautiful woman. The world should see your beauty. The world should see it. The world should see just how awesome you are, ma'am. I tell everybody that Joe is like the better half of me, so I actually got cute today. You know what I'm saying? I had to show up today.
Okay, should I leave and rejoin?
Yeah,
more
let's go
time?
ahead. Let's have you
try
leave and rejoin. It's fine. Technology does what technology does. We'll bring you right back. Since we're here, waiting on our special guest, hey, shout out to Erica, who's rocking Austin, Texas. Austin. Yes, endorphins. You know, speaking of endorphins, chocolate brings me great joy, especially dark chocolate, a really nice wine, like a really good port. That's a really good one there. I really like that. That's a good one there. So please continue sharing in the comments what brings you joy, what brings you pleasure. And we're going to get deeper into it because we really want to talk about that policing and getting into, I don't know, maybe it's how we are programmed, perhaps. It could be based on our history. I think about sometimes my grandmother, you know, the whole idea of being proper and being able to demonstrate joy in a certain manner at a certain time and place, right? It's about being proper. So we're going to get into it. We'll see if our guest can get, okay. Gary says music, sports, conversations, right? There is nothing, I feel, that brings great joy than having a wonderful conversation with family and friends, right? And I'm old, call me old fashioned. I would get on the phone and we'll be talking for hours, right? We'll be talking for hours. I would get on the phone. And now, because the world is open, like really open, I am making it a priority to break bread with people face to face. So like if we're in the same area, like if we're in the DFW area and we were networking and we're like, hey, let's grab coffee or tea or something, I want to do it face to face versus doing that virtually, because we've lived the past couple of years virtually. No offense. I mean, kind of over it a little bit. I'd rather if I could sit next to you and talk with you and laugh with you and enjoy your essence, then why not do that, right? Why not do that? Erica says, the older I get, the less OPP, the happier I'll be. Erica's always dropping some lines for us. Perhaps her next career will be a some sort of artist, some sort of rap lyrical artist of some kind. She's always got the lines for us. Thank you, Erica, for sharing that. Gary says he is still a phone person, but in person is great as well. I know, right? And we live in that area like Texas. Everything is about, I don't know, 4 hours away. Okay, I kid. More like about 30, 45. So getting in your car and going out to meet somebody, that's intentional. That is intentional. That is focused on human connection. Like that's huge. So I don't take it for granted when someone says, hey, can we get together? I'm like, yeah, let's get together. Let's do this, right? Because we've had so many years of being separated, but protected, that I want to focus on, hey, if we can bask in each other's glow, why not? All right. So while my friend is getting herself together, I do want to continue the conversation, and I do want to bring up some stuff. So let's talk about that policing really quick. As soon as Joe arrives, we will bring her in. But we're talking about policing. Oh, wait a minute. Look at that beauty. Okay, I see you, Star. I see you.
Finally, my gosh, I had to restart my whole phone. It's always like a tech issue with us. I love you so much.
I don't know.
Hey, everybody.
I don't know what it is. I don't think the universe wants us to be great because they know how wonderful that we are. They're like, we can't get these heifers nothing. You know?
I'm telling you, I'm like, we were just on camera together talking about starting things up, and then all of a sudden, nothing is working the way that it's supposed to when it's time to actually come on screen.
When it's time.
But we are here.
We are here. Now, before we go any further, we have to tell the people who you are, because I had you written down as a culturalist, a writer, curator of Basque Black for those who enjoy Black arts. And I could have sworn, was there a TED Talk in there? Am I crazy? I just want to know. I just want to know.
Oh my gosh. Yes, so I am an educator. I'm an organizer. I am a writer and a culturalist or a cultural critic. A lot of my work focuses on love and all of the many ways that we experience love, and that we access love. So I talk about love in very expansive ways. So that's a little bit about me. Yes, there's a TED Talk in there. There are lots of other magic moments in there. I wrote a love and relationships column for Ebony magazine for some years. Have written other columns and written for other publications, including Essence, Shondaland. You know, it's a little list now. I've been challenging myself to learn how to speak up about my accomplishments. It's not something that I usually do, but I'm training myself to do more of that. So yes, the girl has a resume.
Well, you know, we were talking about a few weeks ago with Gary, no less, who says hello. Gary says, hello, Josie. I put a little Gary voice. But we were talking about how we, you know, as we are growing, we're really not taught to toot our own horn. Like, you have to learn that along the way. If someone doesn't tell you early on, you got to go ahead and a little pound in the back here and there, right? Yeah. Like, you have to do that.
Absolutely.
And I do want to bring up one thing as we go into this next topic, that you were doing some amazing work in regards to Black families and how Black families are policed, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing amazing work in that arena. Would you just give us like a little bit of that real quick?
Sure. So I am the program director of an initiative called Up and Movement. It is a collaborative movement where we focus on the child welfare system, or what we more adequately call the family policing system, a system where we understand that 53% of Black children, for instance, are investigated by the child welfare system, by CPS. We know that this system, like many of the systems that this country was founded on, are founded on racism, anti-Blackness, settler colonialism, all of these things. So what we do at Upend is we speak and write and provide information that helps spread the word about how the system is harmful to Black and brown people, and what we can do to abolish this system and move towards creating the communities of care that really support Black families and Black children. So that is part of the organizing work that I do. I also organize with a local group here in Houston called BLMHTX. We do a lot of work around a lot of mutual aid work, and just, as I said, creating those communities of care, trying to do what we can to help community members who might be struggling in some ways, who just might need support in some ways. So those are a couple of things that I do as an organizer. And then, of course, I write for different publications. It's coming up on my 1-year anniversary of having my essay, Party of One, featured in the anthology Sex and the Single Woman, which was published last year around this time.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was. And Gwendolyn G was instrumental in helping me celebrate that big milestone, as she is always, you know, here to big me up, and one of my biggest supporters for 30 years or something at this point.
Yeah.
So very fortunate to have you in my life. Very fortunate to be here in this space with you and to celebrate you and all that you're doing to bring these kinds of conversations to light. I'm always telling people, like, listen, if you want somebody to get you together with regards to your business, you need to go and follow my girl G. She is always on me about, you know, doing more and showing up more, and I appreciate that. I don't always take the advice that she gives, unfortunately. I'm working on it. She's like, you need to be doing this. I'm like, So yes, this summer we're going to be doing some collaborations, and she's going to continue to whip me into shape.
We will get you into shape. I've always said, you have always been the better version of me. Joe wants to be all graceful and understanding and talk things out. I'm like, let's just kick the door down. Maybe hit a few people and then we'll figure it out afterwards.
Let's fight. Yes. You need a fighter on your team, man.
Yes.
And a Virgo.
And a Virgo
on your team.
We got it covered.
Date a Virgo, but a Virgo as a BFF, I'm all for it. They will help you get your life together. Okay?
Man, so here's the deal. Since we're talking about policing, I was reading in the Defender, they're based in Houston, right? Mm-hmm. And they wrote an article about HBCU graduations, right? And the question that they had was, did these celebrations go too far? So I put two of the comments here that were submitted by their readers. One person said, let them celebrate, right? It's in good taste. They love it. Someone else said, I'm old school. There's a time and place for everything. Graduation ceremonies are no longer regal or sacred. Right? We need some of that in our lives. I'm like, okay. All right. So, in reading her deal, I got to thinking, as I replied to this, is like, why are we always policing Black joy? Right? Like, why do we always have to go to a place of, this isn't the place for that. Here's how I look at it. You have paid your money. Keep in mind, this is not free. Mm-hmm. You have paid your money. It may have taken you 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Or longer. You got out. Trust me, there is this wave of emotion that just strikes you. I paid for this. Why am I not allowed to celebrate the way I want to celebrate? Like, what is this whole deal of, there's a time and place for it. There's no decorum. This is sacred. Sacred? Are you serious right now? Like, it's a graduation for adults. It's a celebration. And especially for Black people who struggle so hard to achieve these types of moments, right? Because there are so many things stacked against us that oftentimes prevent us from being in these kinds of moments where, college graduation is still a huge deal for Black families and in Black communities, right? We all don't make it there. So if we want to do a little shouting, and whatever that form of shouting is, maybe it's twerking, maybe it's not, hand on chest and hand up to God, but that doesn't mean that it's not still celebratory. Yeah. I think that one of the things that Black people have to ask ourselves is why we care about things that do not affect us directly. And I understand that the root of that is that we feel like we are looked at as a monolith. Yeah. We feel a lot of secondhand embarrassment. So we feel like when we see, a Black woman minding her business in Target with a bonnet on, that somehow it's a reflection of who we are as a people, instead of just saying, hey, maybe I wouldn't wear a bonnet in Target, but it really is none of my business what that woman is doing. Yeah. And if she's happy with her bonnet on, then I'm all for it. It is this idea that, every Black person is a representation of the Black race. Yeah. And that is just simply not true. But I think the deeper question that we have to ask each other and ask ourselves, and I have been sitting with this question since I saw it in a video on Instagram. And I've been asking this question everywhere I go because it is such a marvelous question to help us do this self-inquiry work. Like, whose imagination are we living within?
That's a good one.
Whose imagination are we living within? Are we living in someone else's very narrow imagination and definition of who we can be? Because that's what that says. It's a time and place for everything. There's decorum.
She mentioned.
Who made decorum?
Yeah, she mentioned all of this carrying on in front of the school officials, officers, and specialist guests is out of hand, distasteful, and disrespectful. What? If you ain't paying my bills or my about to be student loan, I really like does it like I don't understand.
You don't know my story.
Yes.
You don't know my story. So it's exactly what you said. And this goes into the work that I do as an abolitionist. I'm a person who does not believe in policing in general, but especially not the way that we police one another. You know, the first step towards understanding abolition and becoming an abolitionist is figuring out that you have to fire the cop that's within your head first. And so many of us walk in so much judgment, and we move throughout life making judgments about people and telling people what they should and shouldn't do. And really, as I said earlier, it's none of our business. Yeah. And the only thing that we should be concerned about is like how we want to celebrate. Yes. We need to be living within our own imaginations and allow other people to live within their own imaginations. And that's how we get free. That is liberation.
That is. Let me bring in some comments here. Gary says it is political. Oh, it's policed because they don't understand the journey and the generational triumph. Oh,
exactly.
That goes right back to your point. That's a great one. Thank you for sharing that, Gary. Erica says most people's goal is to be happy, because if you can control a person's happiness, you can control their lives.
That's it. That is
the community is showing up today.
And here is the thing. Those kinds of comments become the voice in people's heads that stop them from living their lives fully.
Yes.
So 1 minute is college graduation, and what is the next thing that you're going to have to shrink your joy for? You know what I mean? It's always Audre Lorde. What is the quote where she says, "If I don't define myself for myself, I will be forever crushed by other people's definition of me"? That is a paraphrase. That is not a direct quote.
But it's good. It's good.
Yes, that is it. So let me tell you, if I want to shout at graduation, if I want to throw a little something back, because it took me 10 years to get my first degree.
I think I was 7. I think because I started, I think I was 7.
I stopped, I was working, like all of these things happened. And so, yes, when I graduated, I could barely walk across stage because I was full of tears. But, you know, if I would have been able to get my emotions together, maybe I would have twerked a little something across the stage, okay? Because why not? Because why not?
So tell me this. In your opinion, how do we carve out pockets of joy for ourselves? You're talking about looking inside, doing that self-work. How do we, like, in your opinion, and even for yourself, how have you done it for yourself if you care to share?
Oh my gosh.
I didn't bring the bourbon. I didn't bring the whiskey today, but I know you can do it. I know you can. Because you know how we used to do. I should say used to.
So let me think about it. I think for myself, because this is something that I've been working on personally, I have been in a pretty heavy season of life where I have been doing a lot of internal work. And we know that when we're doing internal work, it requires us to dig deep into so many things that sometimes are difficult to look at. Digging into traumas, past traumas, and all of the things that really kind of make us who we are, determine our patterns of behavior, sometimes negative patterns of behavior. So in order to like change and transform ourselves, a lot of times we have to do that deep work, and it is not easy, honey. Okay. I think that what and as an organizer, someone who is like constantly on the front lines, kind of fighting for Black lives, when we look at things that are happening in the news and that are happening in the world to our folks, that also can be very exhausting and make one feel hopeless. Yeah. And so one of the things that I have been trying to practice is making sure that I am tapping into my own imagination and my own hopefulness. Figuring out what are those things that I love and doing more of that. It starts out as simply as that. I love art and culture.
You do.
Along with my partner, Jason Oliver, said, hey, we want to create a collaborative where we are able to bring art and culture to folks in our community who might not ordinarily know about certain events. I get to live a life where I am surrounded by artists and activists and people who are always thinking from a hopeful and imaginative space. So that's another thing, finding your people. I have learned that in order to find my people, I have to show up in authenticity. So that adds to my joy and my own personal liberation. And even just recently, like I have been spending some time out in nature. Had a moment where I met someone recently who is a guerrilla gardener, right? And so we've been doing all of these things around garden spaces and pocket prairies and like urban forest. And one of the things, I went to a lecture yesterday. One of the people in the lecture, or the person who gave the lecture, said that every tree is a clinic. Every pocket prairie is a therapist. Thinking about how nature helps connect us to goodness and joy and like helps our mental health. So I have found just recently that this reconnection with nature has helped me a lot. I practice yoga regularly. You know, these are all things that I do and am still discovering that bring me joy. So I would say, you know, figuring out what brings you joy. First of all, like make a list.
Yes.
Like, what makes me happy? Figuring out who you can be happy with. Like X out all the frenemies, X out all the people who are maybe, look for the people who are saying, yes. Yes. And surround yourself with those people who love and adore you out loud and who you can love and adore out loud.
Oh, you know? My goodness.
Like
woo!
That.
You take some notes.
And then, you know, just allow yourself to be in those moments of joy and pleasure. Let yourself reconnect to the childlike wonder that still exists in us. That still exists in you. So those are a few tips on how I curate joy in my life.
Those are great tips. Those are great. I want to welcome whoever may be tuning in, because we're on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. We're talking about, we're all over. We're talking about pleasure is a human right. We're discussing it with Josie Pickens. I'm going to just call it badass. Rocking it down there in Houston, Texas. And also my better half. So trust me, if you want graciousness, she has all of it. I ain't got none on you. I would say, I ain't got it.
I felt like I was running out most recently. And I feel like God has restored it.
Well, I want to do a quick sidebar because I love a good sidebar. Love a good sidebar. Here we go. Can we chat about Janelle Monáe? Can we? Can we talk about Can we talk about Janelle? Hold up. Okay, so we didn't do the album cover, just in case my mama tuned in. But The Age of Pleasure.
The Age of
Pleasure, right? So it's her fourth album. What I really want to get down to is where she says that the songs were written from such an honest space, and she hopes listeners feel that when they listen to the music, and she feels she has had an opportunity to evolve and grow and to tap into the things that bring her pleasure. First of all, that whole entire bringing this project to life and the kerfuffle, I love that word, kerfuffle, that she talked about kicking up some dust.
So I love Janelle Monáe, who is first of all, gorgeous. Second of all, like showing folks how to transform and evolve into who they want to be. I believe that they identify now as non-binary.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful process. She was just on I think it's the Style Like You. They have a YouTube page where they do like a what's underneath, like getting undressed, and where a person literally takes off their clothes. Not completely nude. Miss Houston.
Not completely
nude. Down to their skivvies. But it's a process of like undressing and becoming bare, right? And they talk about different things that are connected to this idea of like being naked, being bare, not necessarily physically naked.
That was one of our topics.
Unravel.
That nude is more than just being physically naked, okay?
Yes. Like, what does it mean to unravel? What does it mean to undress? And she, Janelle Monáe was talking about, and I'm going to struggle with the she, they, so excuse me, folks.
Yeah.
With the pronouns. This is new with Janelle Monáe. Yes. Just know that I am trying my best, and I do recognize, the pronouns that they use. I might throw a she in every once in a while, but y'all get the drift and get the picture.
Yes.
But they were just talking about this process of learning to love themselves in their most authentic state, their bare state, learning to love all of them. Like we've seen Janelle Monáe kind of like come out in her queerness, take off the uniform that they used to wear, like letting us into a softer side, a gentler side, but also a kind of boss bitch side too at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I am absolutely here for, because that's who I see myself as. Okay, I'm soft.
Really? You don't say.
Soft, but still, quite the bossy thing. And so, yes, I'm loving this age of pleasure, this idea that, and although when you look at like the Lipstick Lover video, you would think that she is only talking about sexual or romantic pleasure, but the real pleasure that she or they want people to experience is like the pleasure of being fully who you are.
I was freedom, right?
Yeah.
Like freedom. The moment that she put out clips of the video on Instagram, that kerfuffle, as we say, that stirred up, I got this common quote or comment that if you showed up, like, if you got dressed today, it's like, well, who are you getting dressed for? Who are you, who are you trying to impress? Is like, did it ever occur to you that this is just for me?
Right.
That it's not, I'm not doing it for you or for some other person or for another gender. This is just for me. Right. And I thought,
well, we know that's how you live, G.
Girl, all day, you know it. We lost all day. We already know.
The rest of the folks are catching up. Catch it.
How long have I been kicking up dust? Oh, let me see. Since, I don't know, 11th grade?
Yes.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Where is this? Okay, so Spencer says her latest video brought me some pleasure. Matter of fact, where's my remote? Lord bless. Spencer, Lord bless. Oh my God.
She was feeling pleasure for herself, and she allowed you to experience some of that pleasure along with her.
Right, along with her. What does he say? God, they always need to be free that way. It's one of the things people we need is freedom. Yes. Yeah, it is true, because I was thinking to myself as I was putting all the notes together that, as a kid, we have this amazing imagination, right? The sky is green, the grass is blue, and I can be whoever I want to be, and it's amazing. And then we put them into public education, different topic, different day, Lord bless me. And we start to just crush and beat all the creativity out of a child.
Yes.
We take them from being individuals to being mass-produced drones.
Yes.
And then we have commercials like The Gap where we all look alike and want to look alike and want to be alike. And then God forbid, I don't know how to be myself and how to be authentic. Well, you know,
right. Like you literally have been, like we train people to be inauthentic. We train people to not be individuals.
Yes.
And if you are someone like yourself or like me who pushes against that and says, no, actually, I do want to embrace my individuality. I do want to embrace my power and strength in being one of one. Then, you know, you receive all kinds of backlash and experience hardship as a result.
It's a little hate. Now, my shout out to Black Eighth Element, the brothers tuning in. You gotta love when fam shows up for you. You have to love it. You have to love it. What can I tell you? But, you know, our parents allowed us to be our own selves, right? Out of all of my siblings, I don't have any tattoos. I have a thing, I know this sounds horrible, I have a thing with commitment. Now, I know I'm married, okay? Going on 6 years, God bless. But I don't know this. I mean, I love tattoos. I love your magic tattoo. You know, and I don't know. There's something about that's permanent. I don't know if I can get down with that. Plus, my favorite word was what was it? Accusatory. You're like, gee, you can't put that on your body because that's not really attractive. But it was a thought. It was a thought. What can I tell you? It was there. So we started off this conversation asking our audience, you know, what brings them joy. And you share with us as well what brings you joy. I was clear. I mean, I love to eat. I love a really good steak, a really good wine. Love to veg out to like Prince. And like you, I mean, but I am also an earth sign. When my father passed away, being outside and recording my videos gave me this sort of sense of peace. Right? It was an interesting thing, but I just needed to be outside. Right? Just to sit out there and feel the sun on my skin and meditate for a little bit, just to hear the birds.
That's it.
Girls, right?
I really feel like we are able to reconnect with God when we are in nature. And I think that I had forgotten that. And I've been, you know, recently revisiting that. And it's been miraculous. And it's only been like a week.
It doesn't take much.
I feel like I'm in a whole new space.
It doesn't take much, yeah.
Which also is a reminder when we're talking about joy and pleasure, is that there's always room. There's always room for joy and pleasure if we allow space for it. We could be in a funk and in a feeling like we have an absence of that. And that could go on and on and on and on. And literally just like that, things can change and we can root back into our joy. Something can bring us back into our joyful space. Something can bring us back into our space of pleasure and understanding pleasure and communing with pleasure. Like we just have to be open. Which I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's another thing to add to the list. How we can cultivate joy is to be open to it.
It's to be open to it. Oh yeah, I think about 2020, and I remember going out one weekend to take care of my little flower bed. Weeds had gotten out of pocket, right? It was awful. It was overrun, and so I'm just working. And we have cacti, because I like cacti. I like prickly things, you know, that's part of my personality, right? Jagged little pill. Of course she has cacti all over her house. But it sticks me. And I'm like, holy, And then I thought to myself, this is my life right now, right? We've been going through life, just going, not paying attention to what's going on around us, not taking care of ourselves. I said, this flower bed, this is your life, sister. This is it. So you're going to have to stop, pay attention, start looking at the self-care, start making time for what brings you joy, spending time with your family, your loved ones, your husband, your flowers, right? Like making time for you, because it got lost. And I believe a lot of us get lost somewhere along the way. It happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the world is designed to limit our joy. As you said, police it, limit it, extinguish it.
Miserable people. There's the makeup artist, Mallory Roncal, right? She just designed a home fashion line with QVC. And you know, her child is a lesbian, and she's very clear about how she feels about the LGBTQ plus, IA plus community. And people just had to come in and say, you're too old to be trying new things. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing that. You guys are horrible. She's like, look, I don't understand how the very few of you are so vocal about what someone else is doing and what is bringing them happiness. I don't understand.
Because they are themselves miserable. They have an issue tapping into their own joy. It's very evident.
Yeah. It's like, get you some
very
business.
Clear, honey, and sad.
Now, Erica says, hey, it's usually in the other person's benefit if you are not independent, easier for them to place you in a labeled box. Then open that box when useful.
And honey, sometimes manipulate you and mistreat you.
We're gonna have to bring the whiskey and whatnot next time. Jonathan says, God bless. But yes, good music, good sounds that brings him happiness. Like, you have to know what brings you joy. And when the world is crashing down around you, Lord knows I can put on Prince and I am good.
That's it.
Right? I can put on Prince and I'm just like, and the world is settled.
The world is all right.
The world is
That's
all right.
That's me and Luther's never too much.
Right?
There is never a time when I hear Luther Vandross never too much. There have been times where I've had to pull over. It'll come on, whatever streaming service I'm using. And I'm like, let me pull over because I have to dance.
Got to get
the
dance
there's a dance if Luther's never too much comes on.
That is a good
I'm
one.
feeling a bit down. I'm putting that Luther on, honey, and I'm gonna cut a little rug.
Yeah, just a little.
And it's just a perfect song. We'll talk about that some other time. But it's hopeful. It's perfect. If I love, I'm a certified lover girl. So yes, Luther's never too much. Injected into my veins.
He says, this Janelle Monáe's video is so full of freedom and joy and pleasure. I'm just so joyful right now. Like, I'm so open to this joy. This joy is so... You know what, Spencer? We're not gonna know what to do with him. Erica says, I got so lost I had to call my Tesla to come find me. Okay. Y'all are so ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Oh, I can't with them. I swear to God. So the good thing is this. We know we have a few more topics to cover. Mm-hmm. Personally, like aging is my next one because what can I tell you? Like, I really did think, right? I know, like, who doesn't like Never Too Much on repeat? Like, who doesn't love that? I thought, I've got the black and white going. Let's get the black and white. I'm trying to get my inner Janelle Monáe going here.
Yes.
Get my little.
My grays grow in on the side, and I shave my sides, so most of the time you can't see them. But honey, G and I are around the same age. I keep telling people I'll be 47 this year. What age are we giving this year, G? You used to count up.
I used to count up. Lately, I've been saying almost 50, Technically, it'll be 48, but I may just go out and just start saying 50, be done with it. and just go ahead and get there. And then like, it'll, I'll catch up. I will catch up at some point.
I am shimmying my way towards 50.
It's what it is. She said, I don't drive a Tesla, so somebody come find me. Lord bless this community. I tell you, you can't. You can't, and then you can, right? They will always give. They will always give. I absolutely love it. But I will say this. We have had a great conversation. The time goes so fast. It really does.
It does.
We've had a great conversation. And I know we touched on a lot that we can definitely dig deeper into.
We always need to do a part 2.
We do. We have to, because
I would love little funny kind of things with signing on and like the technology, and then we can just run our mouths over and over and over again.
We could. We could. The aging thing is definitely one that I want to come back to, because I know some people feel a little funny about age and getting older.
Because
first of all, it's a blessing.
Tell women that the older you get, the less they are valuable.
Right.
Yeah. The less that they are valuable, the less that they're worthy, the less might be, as a single woman, the less that you might be chosen. Like, we learn all of these scripts, and it's very difficult to unlearn all of that.
It is. There is a lot of unlearning that happens when you decide to get outside the box. Hey, you travel safe, Gary. Travel safe. We want everyone to be safe this weekend. If you're in an area that is doing something for Juneteenth, then by all means celebrate Juneteenth safely.
Yes,
safely. Of course, being Texan, we've been celebrating Juneteenth since
forever.
We've
been eating our fried chicken and watermelon.
It's what you did. It's you get in the car, you go down to Herman Park,
water,
outdoor Miller Theater, and watch the show on the hill.
Yes,
that's what we did. But what I really want to dig into is how living in New York shaped part of your story.
Yes.
I know how it shaped mine. And every now and then there are some words that come out and people are like, what was that? I'm an honorary, as they say, New Yorker, right?
Yeah.
Living in Manhattan. So,
I think definitely, being Black women from the South and getting to experience what it's like to live in New York City, and just the way that people operate, first of all, minding their business. Right. Or if people are judgmental, nobody gives a shit. Excuse me, Miss Houston. And just people just operate in a certain type of freedom and liberation, because I think that there are so many different cultures and so many different cultural experiences, and just they are not beholden to the kind of traditionalism that we usually are in the South. So that definitely helped me on my path towards freedom and joy and being a pleasure activist, as I like to call myself. And my own personal liberation. Yeah. So consider that one. We got there's always that's 2 topics. Let's see. How many? I'm gonna be on here every week, y'all.
You could.
It's gonna be the G and Joe show.
The G and Joe show, man. Trust me. Oh, Erica says my kids still think I'm 29. It's at the 25-year-olds. Can't wait for that age combo. Man, you know what? It would be great to even do it as a panel.
Hey, I'm down with it.
What?
Man. You know that you are the person that I will always say yes to. I'm running out of a meeting, like, listen, y'all, I gotta go.
My wheels get to turn. I'm like, maybe we should do this. I like that. I like the idea of a panel. I really do. And then we can have questions and then throw it out and then get all the things. My goodness, Josie Pickens, pleasure activist. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And I didn't add my tag, but you all can follow me on Instagram. Is probably where I'm most busy and most visible. So, and I'm also on Twitter at Joe Nubian. And so that's the @ JONUBIAN. So, you know, if you want to follow up on my musings or message me, you can do it in those two spaces.
Yes. We will definitely put it in the comments, and we'll share this and make sure that everybody follows you there, because you have a lot. I mean, just for those who are in Houston, but the art scene that you and Jason put together, it's amazing. I mean, if I lived in Houston, back in the day, I could run up and down 45 like it was nothing. But
listen, times have changed.
I
struggle getting places, and I'm in Houston.
Right. So we want to thank everybody who tuned in today, who shared what brings them joy, what brings them pleasure. And we definitely want to thank everyone who will watch this in the replay. Stay tuned for part 2, because, what can I tell you? Joe and I get into some things, Lord bless. I am wearing my guest filter today. And she knows it. She knows. She's like, this girl is keeping it good because her mama watching. Yes. Mama's watching, right? And although I am not easily influenced by people, like I said, Joe's a beautiful woman. I figured, well, Joe's coming. I guess I'll get dressed for her and look cute and things and do a little something.
And we're both doing a little pattern black and white.
All right. How did that happen? Really? How did that happen? Oh my goodness. And I'm going to leave with this, because we never leave on time, because Spencer is always putting stuff in the comments. This is our last comment, daggone it. He says, this was good. Enjoyed it. Now let me get back to this pleasure.
Yeah.
So with that, you guys have a good weekend. Happy Juneteenth.
Thank you for having me.